Breaking news, Joel Embiid and Paul George are out tomorrow night against the Memphis Grizzlies, but there are some great takeaways from today's practice that signal a light at the end of the tunnel regarding their injury status. Joel Embiid goes off on a Sixers reporter, criticizing him for not playing the first couple of games of the season, and Nick Nurse reveals a possible lineup that will be really interesting to see play out once the team is fully healthy. But we're going to break it all down here on NZ for 3. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you're new around here, and let's get right down to business. Folks, today was not your ordinary Sixers practice. Shots were fired. Words were thrown. A lot of drama continues to be a whirlwind within the 76ers organization, and they are one of the only teams, if not the only team in the NBA, where the drama and the gossip and all the BS surrounding this team is more relevant and has to be discussed more by fans and by the media, more than the actual basketball being played on the court. And let me remind you that the 76ers are a professional basketball team, and it's not the preseason anymore. All right, we're playing the Memphis Grizzlies tomorrow night in an actual NBA game that impacts their record for the regular season. I just wanted to get that through. And we're still dealing with all this, and we have to talk more about this drama than the actual play that's being on the court. And frankly, look, the Sixers have not been really giving out the best product on the floor as of late. I think we could all agree on that. But it has been just so draining to constantly be having to, talk about and have just all this dark, evil energy hang over the Sixers' head coming, just with the beginning of this season. But, it is what it is. Anyway, I'm just going to get through the interesting stuff first. Today's practice, Joel Embiid reacted to a recent article written by Marcus Hayes. And if you don't know who he is, he's just a Sixers reporter. And he was spewing some venom about the Sixers and Joel Embiid not playing the first couple of games of the season, demanding that Josh Harris give the fans a refund or something. I'm not going to summarize the entire article, but he was basically calling Joel Embiid a fraud and all of that for not playing many games and not being injured or whatever, but being really conservative towards his load managing and all of that, and criticizing him for only playing 46% of his regular season games since he was started his NBA career. And Joel Embiid really had something to say about that, as he said, according to Adam, Sixers Adam, shout out to him, "I've done way too much for this city and putting myself at risk for people to be saying that. I do think it's BS. Marcus, whatever his name is, I've done way too much for this bleep city to be treated like this." So yeah, shots have been fired. Joel Embiid is going off on Marcus Hayes and, biting back a little bit, barking back. And, so the Sixers really do have more drama than your average episode of Housewives of New Jersey. It just is what it is with this sports city. I don't really know why we have to go through this every single year. But, yeah, Joel Embiid, you can point a lot of the Sixers' failures on a lot of things throughout the years. Whether it's, certain guys not playing up to par, coaching, drafting decisions, trades, and all of that, untimely injuries. A lot of the Sixers' failures and them not being able to make deep playoff runs and constantly making their fans suffer year after year, a lot of it is stuff that they really can't control, and a lot of it is stuff that they were able to control but handled it in such a disastrous way that it just became comical at that point, and they were becoming the laughingstock of the NBA. But to be calling Joel Embiid a fraud for, not being, not having the best track record in the playoffs, let me rephrase that, kind of just being a playoff underachiever. I think we could all sort of agree that the Sixers have underachieved in the playoffs throughout the years, haven't made the conference finals since 2001, and have had some really, really ugly playoff losses that still leave scars in the back. They still have scars in the back of my head and all of that. So we can't really No, I don't think anyone can really disagree that the Sixers have not achieved what they really wanted to so far in the process. But to say that Joel Embiid is not totally investing all of his effort and doing everything he can to carry the Sixers over the hump is just absolutely ridiculous. When you see this man playing with a mask on, with orbital bone injuries, wearing knee braces and all of that, playing through torn meniscus, partially torn meniscus, and going off a completely torn meniscus, going off a surgery, and then getting Bell's palsy, but still averaging like 30 plus points a game against one of the most physical teams in the playoffs, like he did last year against the Knicks. It is crazy. Look, I'm not trying to make excuses for Embiid or anything. He has had his tragic playoff performances, and Sixers fans have held him accountable for the times when he has not been playing well, stacking a whole bunch of bricks, and not putting in the maximum amount of effort. But for everyone calling him soft and everything, they just don't watch the dude play. I'm sorry. They don't watch this dude play through injury, having to play through so much pain, with all the stuff going on with his body that has refused to just work properly and have him be fully 100% ready to go when spring rolls around. And Joel Embiid, compared to a lot of other superstars, has had to go through so much unnecessary BS. Whether it's the Ben Simmons fiasco, the James Harden fiasco, Doc Rivers, 3 absolute psychopath narcissists that the Sixers have put around Joel Embiid. There's been a lot of good reason for him to ask out of Philadelphia, but he has stuck with the Sixers. He's sticking with Daryl Morey, and he wants to make it work with Paul George and Tyrese Maxey. And I think his loyalty to the Sixers organization should warrant some respect, because he really could have bounced out at any time with any of those 3 situations. And it would have made sense, honestly, because if I was a superstar NBA player and I was having to constantly be dealing with such an unserious organization, I would ask myself out as well. But Joel Embiid is sticking here with the Sixers. Anyway, on to the positive stuff. Joel Embiid and Paul George did participate with the team today in some 5-on-5 scrimmages. Shout out to Kyle Neubeck for dropping all this info. And that's awesome for sure to see Joel Embiid and Paul George finally get some action. They have been, resting for a while now, been managing all their injuries, but this is a good sign that they're finally getting on the court, working with the other guys and building that chemistry for a possible return. It's still kind of unclear whether Joel Embiid is going to come back or not, but Paul George, on the other hand, we can expect that he is going to make his debut soon, at least. Not a specific game or anything, but according to him, his knee is feeling really good. Shout to Philly Sixers Galaxy and Noah Levick. But, Paul George is feeling really good about his knee. At least we actually know what's going on with his injury. We know there's no damage to the actual structure of his knee, but he has been, developing that, making sure that that's ready to go for when he can make his debut. And I really want to see some Paul George basketball. I want to see Paul George in a Philadelphia 76ers uniform already. We could really use him right now because the Sixers are not the best basketball team in the world. But yeah, Paul George is doing well. And here are some notables from Joel Embiid's media appearance. Shout out to Kyle Neubeck again. So yeah, he's not going to play tomorrow, but he is, just getting past the mental hurdle of his knee. I guess that was just something for him with all the instability and all of that. He really just wants to make sure that he is absolutely A-okay with the stability of his knee and his whether he's going to, be able to just get up and down the court with relative comfort and not be constantly worrying about it when you have a basketball game to play. And Nick Nurse did say that he would consider seeing Joel Embiid and Andre Drummond share the floor in some games, and he did try it in practice multiple times today. Yeah, so that's a really interesting lineup decision. The Twin Towers having both Joel Embiid and Andre Drummond on the court. That's for sure a really out-of-the-box way of thinking from Nick Nurse, who really does like to make those adjustments and throw out those wild cards, shake things up a bit. We saw that when he was coaching the Raptors, when he had Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka share the court on the same time. The difference, though, is that both of them were solid floor spacers, and Drummond, we have seen him pull it up from 3, really has a much better shooting form than I anticipated he would. But I don't know. I can't really depend on Andre Drummond to be a stretch 4 or anything. But yeah, having some good rebounding next to Joel Embiid is good to see. And who other to fill that role than Andre Drummond himself playing right next to him. But yeah, I just feel like it can be really exploitable with dragging them out on the perimeter and all of that. Joel Embiid does not like to play defense on the perimeter or close out at all. And, we know how Drummond is in the pick and roll and all of that. But it could work in some matchups against the Milwaukee Bucks or something. We got Giannis, who's an absolute bulldozer, stopping him at the rim with two really big guys like JoJo and Andre. That can work out in spurts for sure. So it will be really interesting to see how Nick Nurse will play out with those lineups throughout the season. And just to close it off here on a bit of a high note, Paul George did say that the time will come and we have just got to trust the process. Yeah, we have been trusting this process for a really long time, and something that really has to be said about Sixers fans is that no matter how many times we get beat down, how many times this pitiful organization likes to rip our hearts out and beat us with a crowbar, year after year, we still get back up and we still root for the team with a fiery passion like no other, and that, that just signifies how much Philly fans are built different. And look, things don't really look good right now, but at least it's November. It's November 1st, all right? It's not playoff time, and we're still worrying about these injuries and all of that, and that stuff isn't surfacing at all. Still got plenty of time for this season to make things right, and I am anticipating the return of Paul George and Joel Embiid. I'm sure you are too. We are going to be live streaming tomorrow night's game against the Memphis Grizzlies, so be sure to show up. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to talk to you guys all about the game and all of that as we are watching it live. But that's all I got. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Music.